Hey everyone, we're here for our next session. We have Ryan from System 9 and Mike from Hummingbot. This talk will be about how a quant trading firm uses Hummingbot. And I'll let them take it from here. Would you mind introducing yourselves?
Oh, sure. So I'm Ryan. I'm from System 9. I'm the Chief Innovation Officer here. I've been in crypto since around 2012, and it's pretty much consumed my life ever since. I've gotten really heavily involved in a lot of the DPoS realm currencies like Steem, BitShares, etc. And I eventually met the System 9 team here and moved more towards trading. And I'll pass it to Mike.
Hey everyone, I'm Michael, CEO of Hummingbot. Hummingbot is an open source project that helps individuals as well as trading firms like System 9 use that open source project to make the trading more efficient and easier. We integrate with many exchanges in the crypto space, and so it allows funds like System 9 to build the strategies without having to do a lot of the low-level engineering work that would be needed to connect lots of exchanges. I'm actually doing this today. Actually, the CEO of System 9, Peter Sokolov, was going to give a talk. And unfortunately, he's out sick today. So I'm kind of taking his place. So what I'll do is I'll just talk generally about how, what System 9 is, how they work with us, how they're our partner. And then I'll hand it off to Ryan, who will kind of give a demo of kind of like how they use Hummingbot in one of their trading strategies. So overall, Hummingbot, when we first started about a year and a half ago, it was just an open source project. So it was just us writing a bunch of code for ourselves, and our users were primarily individuals in the market. I think as the code base has matured, and as we integrate into more and more exchanges, we're seeing that a lot more trading firms and funds are now using Hummingbot as a way to automate some of those strategies, and to kind of like, and I think a lot of them try to use it as almost like as a replacement for a trader on their team. So instead of hiring a person to manually implement strategies and spend lots of time, clicking buttons on a computer, now and they instead just get one of the traders to develop a strategy, try to automate that strategy, and then to run that strategy over time on an exchange. So I think that's probably one of the differences between kind of like the old school funds who are kind of like still human powered and a newer generation of funds, which are much more automated. And I think this kind of, it harkens to a trend that we're seeing overall in finance. So the first year analyst class at Citibank, when I started as an investment banker 20 years ago, that first year analyst class is now forced to learn quant trading and computer science as part of the education. And I think there's an overall trend in finance where traders are going from kind of like people who are looking at screens and clicking buttons to more quasi developers who are coding up a strategy, letting that run, and then essentially just fine tuning a running algorithm that's going to go out there and execute a strategy for you. And so that's kind of like how Hummingbot is developed. And so System 9, we were, they were actually they're from the market that came from a very a deep traditional financial background. Their founders have been some of the early kind of traders and market makers on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. So they have a lot of experience market making for various asset classes, including FX and equities, before doing crypto. But I think within crypto, there's such a big need for liquidity that many firms, both in the US as well as internationally, have basically built businesses out of providing liquidity on an algorithmic basis to exchanges and projects. And System 9 is one of the premier market makers to shops in the US. So they work a lot with token projects and exchanges to provide liquidity for the various assets. So the way that and the way that kind of like a fund uses Hummingbot is in some ways pretty similar to how a normal person would use Hummingbot. So whereas an individual would probably kind of download Hummingbot and just run it, and then kind of have it just one person would look at their bots. Typically, a fund would have more people than just one person, and so they typically have they kind of have a much more nuanced way to use Hummingbot. So a lot of them will run like 10 to 15 different instances on like cloud servers, and a lot of them also use Telegram to. We have a Telegram integration, and so what they'll do is they'll kind of like take one bot and send all the commands to Telegram, and that allows more people on the team to watch that bot to see what trades they're making and to control that bot and change its settings through Telegram. So I think Ryan's actually back now.
Yeah, I think I'm back. Sorry, my internet cut out for a second there, and it was hard to get back in.
Yeah, no worries. I know that the people online. I'm sure you guys all appreciate some of the logistical challenges in doing it remotely. So I was trying to just fill some time while Ryan came back. But Ryan, I was just telling them how like I was trying to explain some of the differences in terms of how like a fund uses Hummingbot, where it's like a group of people and they have to like look at notifications versus like a single person. So and I remember you telling me that like how you guys like kind of use Telegram to like send all the trades to like a single Telegram bot, and that allows other people in the firm to look at what trades are happening. Right?
I'm a big fan of utilizing the Telegram interface. It allows multiple people to keep an eye on the bots at the same time, as well as the trade notifications, actually letting you know exactly when you're getting filled, so you know like where to pay attention as you start running more and more instances of these bots. But you can do basically everything that you would want to do inside of Hummingbot through this. So this is a test instance of cross-exchange arbitrage that I set up just for the presentation here today. I'm running it with some settings that are not very optimal for profit making, but more for getting a trade to happen here live today. I don't know if I explained much or if Mike talked about cross-exchange arbitrage at all while I was not on. So basically, the talk today was supposed to be around cross-exchange arbitrage, and cross-exchange arbitrage is one of the most like useful strategies to be using when providing liquidity for projects because it's a very, very low risk strategy where you can really like almost leg in liquidity from a very high liquidity exchange and like arbitrage it to an exchange that is far less liquid for profit. So how that will generally look is in Hummingbot, there is what they refer to as the taker exchange, which is the exchange where you're going to be quoting prices based off of. So essentially, in the example I'm doing today, we're using Coinbase because Coinbase's order book is far like thicker than Bitrex's. So Hummingbot takes a look at the taker exchange, which would be Coinbase in this example, and it would see that the best bid is $99. So Hummingbot would compare $99 versus the amount of profit per trade we're trying to make, and it would quote a price lower than that. So you can see here on the maker exchange, which is the exchange where we're actually placing limit orders and providing liquidity. We're quoting it at $98. So if we were to get filled on this bid at $98, we could immediately turn around and do a market order on the other side here and capture an additional dollar, selling it $1 higher. And that's the basic idea behind cross-exchange arbitrage here. So another thing I thought that might be interesting to talk about was like identifying possible profitable trading pairs. I think that TradingView is a decent option for this. We have our own proprietary scanning software that we use at System 9, but this is available to everybody. And you do need premium to be able to compare pairs like this. But you can essentially pick any pair you wanted to. And You can just say Bittrex link USD minus Coinbase link USD, put in parentheses, and then divide by Bittrex. Oops. USD. And it should generate a chart that looks exactly like this. And this is just giving you a detailed look at the discrepancies between the two exchanges in a chart form. So you can see here that it's going down to like about 0.7% under and about just the same amount over. So it gives you a good idea of where you might start trying to set your minimum profitability at.
Actually, Ryan, can you maybe, how would you interpret that chart in terms of like, what is it saying in terms of like yeah, sort of like I think it's actually this is actually really interesting. I didn't realize you guys are doing this too, but so I kind of want to know how to do this as a trader. But like, how would you interpret that chart in terms of like helping you set your like setting your you set your spreads?
I view the data that we're getting here from TradingView kind of with like a grain of salt, because it is OHLC data that's just with the 1 minute granularity. So it's not really giving you a great picture of like the very small time frame movements. But I like to look at there's a tool on here that's called Pivots HL that clearly identifies like how far the peaks are at like the tops and the bottoms of the spreads. And I like to like work from there as like a starting place to see if like you can place your spread that wide and occur some trades. And if you don't get any trades, I start tightening it up a little bit more until you do get trades. And it's kind of just yeah.
Oh, interesting. And is it like, if you compare two markets, like the bigger these bars, that means like the more differences there are between two markets at the same time?
So the further the distance from zero in this example here, I know it's probably a little hard to see. Let's see if I can zoom in here actually. It doesn't seem like it's actually adjusting the size of the chart.
Okay.
But yeah, the further the distance from zero, because this is actually kind of in percents, the number that it's outputting, because I did the percent change formula to. So actually here we can see the Hummingbot instance is placing orders. I'll go to the configuration file actually. And you can see the balances. So right now, since we started this, actually, I made a couple of trades, and it seems like now we're only trying to move money back. Is there anything else that you think I could cover? Maybe show out like maybe run some of the commands in the Telegram, like maybe like maybe show how like do like history or something and see the trades you made. So as I said, I have the bot set to make some fairly not wise trades currently, just in the essence of getting trades to happen live, and you can see here that if you set your minimum profitability lower than your fees, you will in fact lose a little money trading. But I more just wanted to illustrate that like we were placing orders and showing how when you got filled on a limit order, it would do a market order as a hedge.
Yeah. And then actually, do you want to talk about like so like in terms of like Hummingbot, like, do you guys use other tools at System 9? Like,
yeah, we use a handful of products. We have our own bots that we have written, and we use Hummingbot sometimes because it's a great interface. Like for the low level details, for sometimes when we don't have a connector built for a specific exchange, that works out.
Yeah. And also, I also want to give the chance to have you guys tell more about System 9. So I kind of mentioned System 9, you guys like provide liquidity to various exchanges and projects. Is that your main business, or is there something else? Like, how would you describe System 9 to like an outside person?
So System 9, we're a liquidity provider. We do market making for projects. And we're trying to push for like a slightly different model where we are not charging larger monthly payments for market making, and that we're seeking revenue sharing deals with coins so that we can make the cost less for them and still be able to provide liquidity in a good way.
All right, cool. So I touched on this a little bit when your internet was out. But I know that Peter, your CEO, has had a long history at in traditional finance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to talk a bit about kind of like what made you decide to join System 9? Because I'm sure that with your background in crypto, you could have joined any of the trading firms out there. But it seems like you chose one that kind of had a more kind of traditional background. Is that, hello, Ryan? Oh, okay. I think Ryan's internet might have frozen again. Let's see if he comes back.
All right.
Okay. Hey, Ryan, you still there? Okay. Well, let me hey Shinju. So I think we're actually pretty much done with the presentation. So
Right,
if there's any questions, yeah, we can. If there's any questions, you can ask, or we can just take a break.
Cool. Yeah. So if there are questions, drop it in the ask a question section, and we can wait like a few minutes. And then from there, I guess we can either take a break or start our next session early.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, everyone. Unfortunately, this is kind of comes with the territory when we're doing virtual conferences. But I'll try to answer some questions if there aren't any, and we'll just move on to the next session. So one question is, what do you think the minimum capital? What's the minimum capital necessary to a Hummingbot? So overall, Hummingbot's just a piece of software. So it really depends on which exchanges you want to run it on. Overall, because you use your own account, and so it really depends on what that exchange's minimum order sizes are. So if you're trading on, let's say, Binance or say like Huobi or OKX, I believe the minimum is around $10 per trade. So you probably need to factor that in when you're adding assets to an exchange, how much money you want to use. However, for other exchanges, I think some of them even have much lower minimums. So Hummingbot, we try to connect to both large exchanges and small exchanges in order to allow anyone to who's trading on that exchange to be able to use an automated tool that helps them trade more easily. So there really isn't a minimum capital requirements. It's really just I think it really depends on how you want to use Hummingbot and which exchange you want to use it on. Okay, another question is, I want to use Hummingbot tech and I'm not too techy. Is it possible to learn how to use? Yeah. Actually, I would say most of our users are not traders, or they're not developers. However, because it's a tool that's designed for, I'll call serious traders, developers, or professional funds like System 9, we really focus on the low-level engineering and not so much on making it super easy to use, because there's a trade-off between power/flexibility versus ease of use. And so we really concentrated on the power and flexibility part of things. However, you don't need to be a coder. So if you want to, kind of go through our documentation and use it, you absolutely can. One more question: have you faced any latency limitations related to Python? Absolutely. So this is actually one reason why a lot of our code is actually in Python originally. So our strategies as well as connectors are in Python. And the reason for that is because Python allows you to write Python, but it compiles to low-level C, which is much faster when it runs. So this is a accommodation we made in order to allow the Hummingbot code base to execute faster. Now, the trade-off is that writing Python is slightly more complex than writing Python. So we're actually in the process of adding pure Python strategies to allow users to write strategies that are in pure Python. Now, the trade-off there is that those Python strategies may not be as performant as Python strategies. However, they are easier for devs to write. So we'll continue to support both Python kind of code as well as Python code, which each has different trade-offs. But we do believe that the more serious professional users are going to be writing their strategies and connectors in Python to take advantage of the increased speed. Exciting things for you on the Hummingbot roadmap. I love asking this question because there's so many exciting things coming down the line. So let's see, right now we're adding protocol connectors. So we're building connectors to Balancer, Terra to kind of pair with our Celo connector. And as part of that, we're going to launch a generalized AMM strategy that allows you to arbitrage between any Hummingbot exchange and any of the AMM protocols that we're now starting to integrate into. So that's really exciting. Another really exciting thing is the fact that we're really starting to decentralize the Hummingbot code base. We have lots of exchanges that are building Hummingbot connectors, and a lot of them are there's forks that we haven't even merged into the code base yet. So we're starting a governance initiative to allow our community to vote for the next Hummingbot exchange that we integrate into the code base. So we did one vote already where the community picked Loopring, and so that was merged into the code base in the last release. And we're doing another vote starting about 1 week. So look out for that on the Hummingbot website about how to vote and how to participate. And then finally I do think that we're really trying to focus on enabling developers to build on top of Hummingbot. So we've started to add things called scripts, which allow you to write bits of Python to extend the strategy. And in the near future, we're also going to revamp our developer tutorial. So you can create custom strategies to do anything you want on any Hummingbot exchange. Okay, does Hummingbot collect data from transactions placed? No, we don't. It's so the open source software is just pure open source client software that does not collect any data. I think might be an option to send us error logs, but it's all it does is it's a piece of local code sitting in a computer that uses your API keys of various exchanges that automates trading for you. It does not send data anywhere to us, and that's actually by design. We don't want to know anything about people's trades because as traders ourselves, we're very secretive about our strategies, and we want to build that same software, in the way that I think all traders want, which is to keep their private information private and only send API requests to exchanges. Last question, can you tell us a bit about Hummingbot connectors? What are they? That's a great question. So Hummingbot, the way it's designed is that it's a modular architecture so that anyone can write a strategy, and that strategy should work on any market that Hummingbot connects to. So connectors are what we call integrations that are Hummingbot, basically low-level, full access to a particular exchange or protocol. So initially, we just built exchange connectors. So we have connectors now to Binance, Huobi, OKX, and pretty much most of the exchanges in crypto. And recently, we've started to write connectors to protocols because many protocols also have some type of exchange, whether it's a Uniswap style AMM or an order book exchange on their protocol. So now we kind of connect both exchanges and protocols together. And the overall goal is to just connect everything in crypto together, abstract the differences so that traders can execute strategies that trade on any market, and then a lot of times between markets. So this is what arbitrage and the cross-exchange market making strategies and Hummingbot do. Most of them are exploiting the differences between markets. And so we just want to do that for every single market in crypto. So we love to see all the new innovations that are happening in crypto now, with all the protocols that people are creating in DeFi, to all the new types of exchanges trading all kinds of things that are happening, in the centralized world. Because in our view, all of those new things deserve a chance to get liquidity. And by building a connector into those new things, I think Hummingbot is helping to allow traders everywhere to translate various markets around and to and really allowing the long tail of protocols and exchanges a fair shot at competing with the largest ones. So that's really our mission. So I think that's all the questions, Shinju. So I think if you want to start the next session early, I'm pretty sure, I think we're all done here.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Mike.
No problem.